But, I started dressing more casual, making sure that they saw my stethoscope.
So it's like the stethoscope was like the hands up, don't shoot.
Hey,
It's like,
I'm
look.
out here to you want me to listen to your heart?
Tony's a cute, my love is pure. Tony's a cute, my love is pure.
Show your love for Taquita Love. Comedy is cure.
No, Tyrone Love. What's up?
What happened?
My brother. It's been, how long it's been? I think I did the podcast 2019. You came, you helped, and yada yada. I never did an interview with you.
You used me, right?
Of course, because that's what sisters do.
Yeah. But I'm actually here live in action.
I know. I'm like, you ain't seen no release or nothing. You was just like, I'm
here. You can trust me. You can trust me.
So, okay, so it's crazy because both of us are nurses. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, people always be like, how did you start stand up? And you are low key one of the reasons why or how I got into David A. Arnold's class.
I remember.
What you remember about it?
I remember, I was going through some drama, right?
Oh, wait. So this is okay, you was in L.A.
Right.
You came to Chicago.
I came from Chicago to L.A.
to visit.
Right.
And then you wind up staying.
For a little bit longer.
Yeah, because you was going home. I was like, no, I'll stay in L.A. and kick it with your sister a little bit. Because I was like, yeah.
I took you up on that offer.
Yeah. And
then a week later, you was like, you got to go to work. You got to go to work?
Yeah. Lick your lips. Okay. All right. Yeah, then a week later, but then we wound up doing, what did we do? Those were really fun times.
Yeah, we had some good times.
It was like a good sibling bonding, and I was new to LA and I was new to being a travel nurse, and then it was like my brother was out here kicking it, you were rapping, and we did background work together.
Yeah.
Ideas. I was like, you gotta get. You weren't a nurse yet.
I was not. You know what? I actually got accepted into nursing school while I was here on that vacation.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons kind of motivated me to go home. I'm just like, oh man, I gotta go to.
You was kicking it. Like, I was like, what's crazy is that like I was living on Sunset and Vine, and so we was living like we came from Chicago. We never lived like that before.
Like stars. I'm talking about the Wayans brothers was in.
Marlon Wayans.
He was in the
Takara.
building, and then next thing you know, that's who I was on the set for one of his movies. I'm just like, that's crazy that we, you connected like that.
Yeah, and I didn't know I was that connected. I've been a nerd all my life.
I wasn't connected yet.
So I don't know how it happened, when it happened, but you was like, here's a flyer. You heard something about.
This is what happened.
Okay.
You don't remember exactly what happened. What happened was like, you said, "Hey, Chocolate, you here?" And comedy in LA can be a little bit. The big comedy clubs can be a little bit segregated at times. And you're like, there's a black comedy show tonight at the Laugh Factory. Let's go. And I was just like, cool, let's go. And when we went, that was my first time seeing David Arnold. And he did his set. And after his set, he pulled out the flyer. He was like, if one of y'all think y'all can do what I do, you know what I mean, take my class. And it sparked my interest. I was just like, his personality seems so similar to mine, and I was just like, I think I have the personality. I think I can do that. So I was really encouraged. I took a flyer, and I think we went to the class for just like a free class.
Yeah, we went to audit. Yeah.
So we took a free class, and then I wound up going back to nursing school. I went back home and went to school.
And then I didn't do nothing. And then a year later.
Then you took the class.
A year later, what happened with me was I think I had went to Feed the Homeless the day before, and I was a little bit, like the way my mind was thinking, it was like it was a homeless couple and I was single. And a part of me was like, I woke up and I was on the couch, and I don't know if that flyer was there or I saw it, but something sparked me. And I was like, I think I was off work at the time, and I was just like, let me just go. And I called Sataris at the time.
Okay.
And she was like, come on. The class had started. Like, it was the Saturday. The class had started. It was the first day.
Okay.
And then I remember going, and then I went, and then I think from that point on, I was like, I joined the class, and then I became like a little, like an open mic.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, it became a part. I think it became a part of my life when I did Laughs on Fox, like when I got on TV.
Right, I remember that because I was in Chicago when you got on TV.
Yeah.
And and you sent me the link. I'm just like, damn.
Like that's
damn,
it was
put you on.
Right. It was
Put you on.
it was a couple of years, and I didn't even think of stand up as something that I would do or something that would lead me to other possibilities until I was on TV. And I taped 12 minutes.
Right.
They showed about 12 seconds, and I was like, Mom, y'all better, I'm famous, come on.
You know, I think you were actually on like a game show before that, though.
Yeah.
You sent me like a link. I remember nursing school. I'm just like, okay, so
I'm
I
out
see
here.
You I see you.
We out here in LA.
I see you. And I made a promise to myself is that, you know, once I graduated, I'm like, man, I'm back out there. I wanted to definitely get back out to the LA scene with you as soon as I graduated, as soon as possible, for sure. Especially getting that little taste of the Hollywood, like, cause, like when I say Hollywood, it was really like you would imagine Hollywood to be, like in the summer, bikinis everywhere, food, drinks, pool parties every weekend, with famous people, like people that are on Saturday Night Live and got their own show, and artists that I looked up to. And
Pull your mic a little closer.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, when I got a taste of that, I was just like, okay.
And you did a freestyle on the top of the building.
I did do a
Sunset
nice little.
Vine.
I did do a nice
Hollywood
little,
bars.
I did do Hollywood bars
Yeah.
in Hollywood. And that I did do.
And you went back to Chicago, and I would like to think that LA sparked a creativity, or it like kind of gave you a glance of like that it's possible.
Yeah, you know, before I went back home, I wanted, again, the comedy was really an interest when I came here and had that time with you. I wasn't rapping yet, right? So I think it did spark an interest in rapping when I went back home. What my friends and my peers were doing, they were rapping. And I think that just being around them, it encouraged me to start putting my pen to the pad. You know, I had always had an interest in like poetry writing. So I had a structure in terms of my thought process in that regard. So I just really applied that to the music, and it turned out being something pretty cool. Pretty
I
special.
remember you had a song where you said dun 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 dun, call that shit Taquita. I was like, my brother put me in the song. My brother put me in the song. And then I don't know when and how it got to the point where I know you moved to LA, travel nurse. So the thing is, you finished school, right. You did what you had to do. The family came, wound up living in the same building as me.
On the same floor.
On the same floor.
Became neighbors.
We was neighbors, and
we were neighbors with Snoop.
and Snoop bodyguard us. They was somewhere. We followed a cloud of smoke. That's where they was at. But it was like living. We didn't know that growing up. Yeah. We didn't grow up living like that. Yeah. We grew up food stamps. We grew up Section 8. We grew up like in that mentality of like, okay, we don't know that there's better. And I think when I became a travel nurse and lived on Sunset and Vine, that's when I saw there's better.
Yeah. Well,
and it's obtainable.
Yeah. And I think that Mom did a good job letting us know an inkling of what better quality would look like. Because although we lived in in Section 8 per se,
we lived good.
She made sure the furniture looked nice. Yeah. Right. The house stayed clean. And
we was balling.
Things were.
We sold DVDs. We sold bootleg DVDs.
Yeah. So the value was there, but it wasn't like tangible to the point where we had access to it consistently. Yeah. Right. So I think we had a good foundation, but moving outside of the hood, outside. And getting in a new environment, I think definitely sparked that a little bit more.
And it was just like we here, like we can get it, like we can touch it, like
being from Chicago, we got that go-getter mentality as well, so that kind of helps.
So fast forward, you live in LA, right. I live in LA, we neighbors, right? You moved at some point, but you moved across the street, so we've been neighbors, right. And at some point. I don't think, did I take the class with you? At some point we was like, yo, let's be sister and brother. Let's connect again. We took David A. Arnold's class again together.
Yeah, because that interest of taking the class never went away. So when I came back to LA and Dave was like, there's another class. He was like, I might take it again. I was just like, well, if you take it, I'm taking it. Yeah. Right? So we ended up taking the class together, and that was an awesome experience.
Yeah. Like and then you came to Marty's.
Marty's was... As I've heard you mention so many times, The crackhead stand-up spot, and that's definitely how it felt the first time walking in.
You came in there with your little loafers, like
Yeah.
I'm a family man. I'm working.
Right.
And it was. I think Justin Hires was there.
Yeah, Justin was there. I remember him.
And-
he was hit that rush hour thing he was doing at the time. Yeah, that was cool. But I mean, with David's class, it gave, even with Marty's, it gave us an opportunity to get our feet wet in regards to standing up and speaking to people and trying to make them laugh.
Yeah.
So I'm forever grateful for both of those opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. So the thing about taking a stand-up class is you got to have balls to do it, period. Like nobody, like even if you don't continue doing stand-up, like the fact that, I mean, you funny. I know you funny because I'll be calling you and running my jokes and you be like, no, do this, do that. But when you did the showcase, so like people with the stand-up class, you do all this work, you do all this writing, you perform, you get on stage, and then like you get notes, and then there's a showcase, and there's a showcase is where you invite all your people out, and they see what you've been working on.
Right.
And you literally, I was like, who is he? Because out of nowhere, because when I was on the stage doing open mics a lot, you were at home, or like you were working indoors, and I always know like you got to be outside.
Right.
And then you did the showcase, and like you ripped it, and you went first.
Right.
You took the bullet.
I did take the bullet. Shout out to Brody. Brody, if you see me, brother, whatever. Shout out to Brody who threw me in the fire.
He was like, my girl ain't here yet.
Yeah.
He's somebody.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
the crazy thing is that going first, it wasn't just like going first. It was going up after David, because David, he warmed up the showcase. So Dave went up there and killed it for 10 minutes and had the crowd going crazy. And midway through that 10 minutes, Brody comes up and was like, bro, my girl not here yet. Do you mind, going up for me first? And no, I'm just like, I'm terrified, but I got you. Say less. But I was prepared.
Yeah.
Right? I did do a lot of practice behind the scenes, and that's something during that time frame. I studied a lot of film. I looked at a lot of comedy shows, and I did my set probably 500, 1,000 times in the mirror, very meticulously. So when the showcase came, I was prepared. Yeah, and I killed it.
Yeah, you did. You got on stage, and you was talking about. I know you talked about. You did some crowd work. Angel Games. Shout out Angel Games.
Shout out to Angel.
Yeah. I don't remember what you said, but you did some crowd work in relation to something that she was doing or saying. And then you had these jokes, and I loved all your jokes. Like all your jokes, you was like, like, cause you are a nurse, like me, and you do home health. So like you was going to the hood, and you was like, all these people, like I got a lab coat on, they think I'm a doctor.
Right.
And then it was just like the jokes though. The thing is like life, we know what life is, but then when you give us the jokes and you like, I'm going to somebody's house, and the lady's like, hey, Dr. Love, and then you said you went, I can't remember the jokes beat by beat, but I know you went to the dispensary and they was like, let the doctor in, let him come get in. But the thing about comedy is like, even if you don't perform it, if you know what's funny and you know how to like create a joke, it was something about like that. And I saw you on stage. I was like, oh, we about to be the brother and sister comedy. We about to do this little comedy thing. We about to be the nurse comedy duo. And then you was like, life.
It happens.
Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you, how did you feel on stage in that moment? And then do you miss it?
Well, let me answer the first question, part of the question. How did I feel on stage? I felt in control. And I felt fulfilled for providing laughter or the information or dialect that would make people laugh.
But was it a rush? Because when I'm on stage, I get a rush.
It was a rush afterwards, right? After getting off the stage and realized that the preparation worked. Yeah. Right? And what I thought would be important to do was important. And doing it, I got the response that I was hoping for. So it was a complete rush. And I definitely miss it, right? And one of my fondest moments of David is getting off of the stage on that particular showcase. Because Dave, he seemed just as surprised as you mentioned.
I was like, who is this mother? He ain't been on stage. He ain't been in no open mic. What the fuck?
He ran up to me and looked at me in my eyes. He was like, "No, you killed it." And that, that definitely, that felt good. That definitely felt good. So, Yeah, I do miss it. I do miss it, and I took a different route. You know, I'm doing music and you know, focusing on family and the profession as well. But you know, the artistic drive is still there.
Yeah. So if something happened where I was like, yo, bro, I got a tour, and all you gotta do is show up, bring your 5 minutes, come. Like, would you get back on stage?
I got the 5.
Okay,
You know,
so I'm just like a heavyweight champion,
Right.
like this is like the call out. Be like, I challenge you. Like, are you gone?
Yeah, you know, I got the 5. You didn't see the 5.
No, but for me, to be honest with you, like that moment of doing the class with David, it was more about connecting with my brother. You know, it was more about relationship building. It's because like we adults now, and like, you know, at some point, you know, like the two, you know, like siblings become individuals, and then they are attached to other people and other things. So like for me, that was like one of the best times, because it was like we were grinding, we were writing, we were helping each other, we had each other's back, and then we celebrated, like, you know, and then we celebrated on stage, and it was just like one of those moments that was like, you know, and then Annie was in town, my sister Shaquita, we call her Annie, and it was just like, I remember us all taking pictures on stage, and it was just like a fun moment. And it's just like for some people, you know, that's all it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, does it have to be, you know, like out until 4 a.m? And if that's not your goal, you know, it's not your goal. But I was just like, I just wanted to, like, you know, for me, that's what that meant. That was like, this was family time. This was like, it was a good, like, connection. Yeah. And then it was just like, yo, we did that.
Yeah. And
similar to being a nurse, like, yo, we did that.
Oftentimes in those moments, you don't really, not really present, right? And that's what I've learned a lot being in nursing. And you mentioned I do home health. At the time I was doing home health. I now do what's called palliative care, and I do hospice care as well. And doing that has allowed me to really appreciate and become more present in moments as you're describing, and seeing the value in it in that moment, as this moment would be. I would consider this a moment as such, right? You are doing your thing, right?
Hey.
And yeah, for sure, I got to give you your flowers. And as your younger brother, someone who you've always been a leader in regards to kind of our dynamic of relationship. You know, it encourages me to continue to be creative and do other avenues and continue to express myself. So again, I applaud you.
Oh, hey, thank you. Oh, hey, oh, sister moment, sister brother moment. Hey, I love you too. Hey. So with that being said, have you had, and I know that since we both work in the medical field, I know we have a lot of crazy medical stories, but I want to know, do you have any like unexpected trips to the emergency room involving like yourself or immediate family, or any crazy medical stories? It could be, you know, like your interaction with your patients too.
Well, if you want to talk, I can't. HIPAA now.
I know about HIPAA, but like you told me they was trying to throw it at you because you was like.
I work in you know, I do home visits. And you know, working in South Central, you can't go in the hood just dress any type of way, right? Because you got to respect the culture, and there's a prevalent gang culture in Los Angeles. And one of my father figures growing up, Tupac Shakur, often reiterated the importance to respect the neighborhood in LA. So that's something that I was aware of before I came to Los Angeles. It was tested, right? Because I threw my Jordans on. Right?
Well, you're not supposed to wear Jordans, or it's the color?
I threw my scrubs with my Jordans on, and they couldn't distinguish that attire from anybody maybe in a jogging suit.
Okay.
Right. So situations like that, you know, they do pressure. They say, "Hey, where you from? You know, where you repping? What set you repping? Whatever lingo they use." It definitely was situations when I first moved here where they were just like, "Hold on, bro, you in this neighborhood? You know, where you from?" So I had to recognize that my attire maybe had to elevate it slightly. So I started dressing more casual, making sure that they saw my stethoscope.
So it's like the stethoscope was like the hands up, don't shoot.
Hey,
it's like,
I'm
look,
out here you want me to listen to your heart, my nigga? What's going on? And that really gave me a little bit more respect and admiration.
Okay.
In the neighborhood, I love working where I love South Central. I love LA in general, but more specifically, I love working in the homes of South Central. I think that my presence is well received and well felt. So
And welcomed.
and always, well, I'm welcomed everywhere, but more specifically, needed.
Yeah.
In those communities for sure.
Yeah. I'm happy to hear you say that, because I feel like a lot of times, like when you a patient, then you get somebody coming in, you want them to respect you and be kind of like in tune with what you got going on.
Right.
Like, if you know what I'm saying, if it smell like weed in there, you're not finna be like, I'm calling the cops,
Right,
because
right.
you know, like you feel me?
Right.
So I mean, I applaud you for taking, that's hard.
Yeah.
You know, for going to those neighborhoods.
Yeah. But I see some things.
Yeah, tell me about it. Don't, not HIPAA related. Like, don't be, you know,
I see some things.
but like a crazy experience.
Well, I'll be honest with you. The craziest thing I've seen was not in South Central.
What was
It
it?
was in the Hollywood Hills. And this was prior to me working at the location, at the place I work now. I was working at an agency, and they sent me to the Hollywood Hills. And there was this young white guy, and he seemed super excited that a black person was coming into his house. And I was like, okay, that's all good. And he wanted to show me his gun collection. Like,
Are you serious?
I'm dead ass. I'm just like, okay, you must assume that, I'm carrying too. I'm not at the moment, but I let me see. Let me be. My first thought was just let me be cool and not cause any conflict in the scenario where there's firearms.
Okay.
Right? And then I was just like, let me check on the patient, because you're not the patient. You're the patient's son. And let me check on the patient. And then I hear the patient screaming, I'm in here. I'm in here. And I'm just like, is your mom in there? And can she come out and be a part of the evaluation? Comes to find out, he had taken the doorknobs off of her side of the room. So she was literally trapped in the room. She could not open the door. The only way you can open it was from his side, outside of the door. So that was a shocking experience.
That felt like a scene from Misery.
It was. I had to get out. I had to think of how can I get out of here safely. And am I being trapped? It felt like an us moment before us
Came out,
was
yeah.
out, right? So I was just like, how can I safely get out of this scenario and report this scenario? Because legally I had to kind of report it. So,
Of course.
Yeah. So,
But you never saw the patient?
I saw the patient momentarily. Yeah, he opened the door, and that's how I realized that.
Something ain't right.
No, when she opened the door, I was like, ain't no knob. On the other. I'm like, what's the knob? He was like, oh no, I don't want her leaving out of the home. She may hurt herself.
Okay.
Or out of the room. I'm just like, well, that's a different type of restraint, right?
Okay.
She had, she was alert to her into times 3, so she can make the decisions if she wanted to leave the house or not. So. Yeah, that was reported.
I couldn't imagine going somewhere and they'd be like, let me show you my gun collection.
I'm like, oh my Lord, he can put it on the table.
I'm like, I would have. I don't know. I feel like people don't understand. Like, that's a dangerous job you do too. Like, it reminded me of the scene from Pet Detective when Jim Carrey went to the house and he was like, I'm looking for Ray Finkel, and the dude was like, in a new pair of shorts. And it was like,
that's one of your favorite scenes in the movie.
I love that movie. And then I'm like, from Life, we looking for Slim.
You found him.
You found them. Like, those, like, people that know me know that, like, if you know me, you know that I like to talk in movie quotes. Yeah. So out of nowhere, I'll just be like, what am I gonna do with 2 more kids? And it's like, and people that know me know that that's a movie I like, and that's a quote from it.
That's funny.
But yeah, so you accepted the challenge to get back on stage at some point, even if
challenge accepted.
Even if it's for 5 minutes.
I do the 5.
Okay, and you working on music.
Always.
Maslow, if you haven't heard, please check him out.
Yes. Maslow.
And then be careful in them streets. Be careful in them nursing streets.
Yeah, for sure. Keep your head on the swivel.
At camera 2, tell them where they can find you.
So you can find me on the gram, Twitter, Snap.
People Snapchat still?
They snap me. Now what's the new one? The little tickety tockety.
TikTok.
I do the tickety tockety too. Everything is Maslow. Masslow.
Okay.
Tony's a cute, my love is pure. Tony's a cute, my love is pure.
Show your love for Taquita Love. Comedy is cure.
But as always, you want this. I had one dude was like, hey, you think you could bring a brother the clear machine home? Oh, the clear machine. He was like, yeah, ma, the reviver.
talk.